Yo, let's go. My name is Dr. MarkAlain Dery. I'm the Medical Director of Infectious Diseases and Chief Innovation Officer for Access South Louisiana. I live in New Orleans, Louisiana, and I serve as co-chair for the ACOI Infectious Diseases Subspecialty Section. You've seen me do these updates for over a year. We've been here for a year. With the leadership of the ACOI. Hello, leadership. Thank you for letting me do these videos. I hope these messages are helping you to keep up with the latest on COVID-19. I know many of you are in the thick of the fight, and I'd like to thank all of you on behalf of us who focus on infectious diseases daily for a living, and certainly on behalf of the ACOI. Hello, ACOI. So, also on behalf of the ACOI, I need to ask you, are you registered for the ACOI virtual spring meetings? There are 3 meetings coming up in May, from May 11th to the 15th, that are focusing on 3 important areas, all of which an opportunity to earn much needed CME credits. Check them out on the ACOI website. And guess what? If you register before April 20th, that's coming up, you can get the early bird discount for the meeting and get $100 off of the annual ACOI convention and scientific sessions. That's 100 smackaroos. So, speaking of the annual convention, stay tuned for more information that will be announced shortly because I would love to see all of y'all vaccinated, of course, in San Francisco for ACOI. So moving together with the ACOI, we will continue to share information as it becomes available, as well as some hopeful progress that we are seeing. So now, on to the stories. Pfizer and Moderna COVID-19 vaccine protection lasts at least 6 months. Great news. So America is getting the vaccine, and the Biden administration is guaranteeing that by April 19th, every adult will be eligible to be vaccinated. I swear, like, I was being asked by reporters regularly when, and I was saying June, July. I did not guesstimate at all that it would be in April. Now, over 150 million shots in arms thus far, and this is, of course, great progress. So now that the country is marching toward herd immunity, the natural question is, how long will the vaccine continue to protect us, and what about the variants? And of course, those are some of the most important questions that we can ask. Is there protections against the variants, and what does this mean about getting back to pre-COVID life? So what we discovered from a phase 3 trial from 12,000 people who were involved is that there are high levels of protection against COVID-19 6 months after the second dose, and that's with no serious safety concerns. That's awesome news. Now, Pfizer and BioNTech have also stated that other results from clinical trials are finding that the vaccine is effective against a coronavirus variant that emerged from South Africa. That is great news. Now, originally there was concern that the variant might throw off the vaccine's effectiveness, but that's not as much of a concern now, and thank goodness, since it's critical that these vaccines remain effective against variants to continue to strive for herd immunity. Now, Dr. Rochelle Walensky, head of the CDC, be quiet. Be quiet. I said be quiet. All right, Dr. Rochelle Walensky, head of the CDC, said that it is really encouraging news, especially since these findings are really first real-world data that is coming from the U.S. The data is actually proving to be aligned with similar research from other countries, including Israel, where the Pfizer vaccine was found to be about 97% effective in preventing COVID-19, including severe disease and death. That's amazing. Let me say that again. In Israel, the Pfizer vaccine found to be 97% effective in preventing COVID-19, including severe disease and death. That's amazing. Now, there's more good news. A report this week was just published in the New England Journal of Medicine reporting the exact same news about the Moderna vaccine. How awesome is that, right? This is great news. Now, there's still talk of both Pfizer and Moderna possibly creating a booster, as well as updating the current vaccine to bolster effectiveness against emerging variants. That kind of confidence is helping us to get back to normalcy. That includes a recent statement from the CDC about travel. Now, the CDC is saying fully vaccinated people can travel within the U.S. without getting tested for coronavirus or getting into quarantine afterwards. Now, they are saying that, of course, people should still wear masks and continue to socially distance as well as avoid crowds. But for international travel, the CDC is saying that those who are vaccinated do not need to get a COVID-19 test before leaving, but to certainly check with the destinations they are headed off to just to double check to see what their requirements are. It is recommended that vaccinated people get a negative COVID-19 test before boarding a flight to the U.S. and be tested 3 to 5 days after returning, but there isn't a need to quarantine. Just keep in mind that the more you travel internationally, the more chances you have of coming into contact with the viral variants, which is a good reminder, which is good to remember since there are differences in vaccine coverage around the world. So be cautious if you must participate in international travel. All in all, this is really great news. In this video blog, we have talked a lot about some of the harsh realities of COVID-19 and certainly the effect it has been taking on us as healthcare workers, as well as the toll that it has taken on our patients and society as a whole. So good news like this is always so welcome. And in fact, I wore my little viral, my virus thingamajigger here, just to share some of that good news with y'all as well. All right, now let's talk about. It was all about good news. Now I'm going back to some of the harsh reality of COVID-19, and let's talk about some long-term COVID complications. There was a recent study published in the Lancet Psychiatry Journal, and it revealed that 1 in 3 COVID-19 patients are diagnosed with a neuropsychiatric condition in the next 6 months after having COVID-19. The illnesses were mostly mood disorders, but also included strokes and dementia, and a large new study which reveals this. Now, but the researchers also found that rates of neurological complications, especially in patients who have been severely ill with COVID-19. In all COVID-19 patients, less than 1% developed a brain hemorrhage, 2.1% an ischemic stroke, and then about 0.7% developed dementia. Now, when compared with other illnesses that the study groups were hospitalized, it was found that patients overall had a 44% higher risk of neurological and mental health diagnosis after COVID-19 than with the flu, and 16% higher risk of COVID-19 after respiratory tract infections. There's still many questions as to why there is a tie between COVID-19, and more studies are obviously going to be needed. Now, this group that was studied was fairly large, with researchers analyzing electronic health records of 81 million U.S. patients with finding about 250,000 people who had been diagnosed with COVID-19 and compared them with 3 separate cohorts of similar people, one who had the flu, one who had respiratory illness, and one who were hospitalized for unrelated conditions. So this study is super important and is really something that we really need to keep in mind, as it does really drive home the importance of not only continuing vaccinations to prevent infections, but really, I really do believe that we are on the precipice of a massive mental health epidemic in the next coming years, especially as we begin to see COVID-19 in the rearview mirror. We really, as a society, need to be ready for some of the major mental health issues. Not only we're going to see from people who've been previously infected with COVID-19, but as well as society as a whole, with the trauma that was that had developed as a result of our collective experience with COVID-19. So we will continue to follow with that story, and as always, please stay on the lookout for our updates, and to read more from the sources that were used in the report, you can go to acoi.org/COVID-19. That's what I get for not looking at my cues. Together with the ACOI, we will help you have the latest information to respond to patients and help you stay on top of the crisis. Always feel free to reach out to me. I love hearing from you at madery@mac.com. Please stay safe. We can do this together.